Before we begin today, let's just take a little time to check in on our level of joy, wherever you are right now. Whether you're driving or walking, maybe you're sitting with a cup of coffee or tea, maybe you're folding laundry or running errands. I invite you to pause for just a breath. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. And now I want you to take a moment to notice, on a scale from 1 to 10, how full does your heart feel today? No judgment, just notice. Because joy doesn't always arrive in fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in whispers. And today, we're taking the time to listen and be aware of where we are. Coach Darby, thank you for being here. Would you do a joy check-in with us? On a
Hello,
scale,
hello, hello. Yes, I would. I would.
thank you. On a scale from 1 to 10, how full does your heart feel today?
On a scale of 1 to 10, my heart is at a 10. It's completely joyful. I had a wonderful weekend. I got some projects done and some rest, and I'm excited about going back to work after like a 5-day weekend. So, completely full of joy.
Yay! I love hearing that. I am noticing my joy level is maybe about at an 8. I had a really full day and got to do some really hard work that brought me joy. Um, and I'll just be honest, it is 7 p.m. while we're doing this, and right around 8 p.m., that's when my day needs to be over. So I'm starting to feel the pull
I
towards
can agree.
rest. Pull towards rest. So anyway,
Yeah,
thank you so much for doing that with
no
us.
problem. No
And
problem.
again, there's no judgment. Wherever your joy is, however your heart feels, allow that to be. Welcome to Held with Joy. Held with Joy is a sacred and practical space where psychological well being, emotional health, and spiritual health meet. The space where we talk about gentle practices that help us live with intention, especially in challenging seasons. I am your host, Kelly Holder, and my heart behind this podcast is simple: to remind you that joy is always available, even when life feels heavy. And I like to say, especially when life feels heavy. Today, I'm honored to be here with someone I've known their entire life. This is my
Whoop,
sister,
whoop, whoop,
Coach
whoop.
Darby, who is
Hey,
all
guys.
things wonderful, all things
Yeah,
joy, all things movement. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking
yeah.
about joy and movement and how we can be more joyful when we move. So let's get into it. The first question I have for you today, Coach Darby, is
Hit me with it.
when you look back over your life, when did you notice that movement was part of how you brought joy into your life? When did you notice that? What stands out in your mind?
Looking back over my life, I would honestly say participating in sports. When I started playing basketball, um, I really enjoyed just the freedom of running up and down the court, and I mean, I just had endless energy, and so um, actually having some skill at it as well just made it fun. It made it enjoyable. Just being able to ride a bike, was super
Mm,
fun. I just enjoyed being. It gave me freedom. Movement gave me freedom, and once I was
yeah.
able to ride a bike, I could go further. Once I was on the basketball team, we went on trips, and even now as a personal trainer. I get to meet more people because of the movement that, I have in my life.
I love that. I love, how you held on to some of that childhood joy with movement because I think a lot of people could identify with that. When you talked about riding your bike, I could think about the times we grew up someplace hilly and that feeling you get when you go down a
Yeah,
hill and the wind is
yeah,
at your hair.
yeah,
Like
it's blowing.
there's no other feeling like that. And that's that playfulness that comes with it. All right,
Yeah.
next question. Because I know you've coached lots of people and trained lots of people who want to get back into shape or want to move again, what do you think? in your opinion, happens where we lose some of that joy or excitedness about moving our bodies? Because we know we need to move them, but I can think of times where I've gotten to this place where I'm like, do I even want to exercise? Thinking about it feels
Right.
painful. Like, what happens that we make those shifts and movement doesn't seem joyful anymore?
I honestly believe it's a combination of two things. One, age. We get older and our bodies just do, it's not as easy to move. And then
Yeah.
with age comes the spaces that you're in. When you're a kid, you have recess. When you're a kid,
Mm,
you have you can be on the AAU team. You can, and as an adult, you really have to seek out those flag football teams or those kickball teams, so that you can incorporate that movement in your life. And a lot of times people just don't have that time where it's etched into your time or should be as a
yeah.
child. And so when you move out of that space as a child, have that freedom, you have to actually make a choice, and then, okay, I work 40 hours a week. Do I really want to go on the weekend and play kickball? Maybe I do, but I might rather spend time with my kids. So the choices. I think it just becomes a growth thing, and those two things combined, just it being harder because you're
Yeah.
older and you may put on
Yeah.
more weight, and your knees might not do the same thing. I tell you, I hurt my leg the other day, and for about 48 hours, I was not 100%. I couldn't
Yeah.
hyperextend like the back of my knee. And I was walking, like I couldn't keep up with Raven while we were walking. And just for that short period of time, I just imagined, like, empathized if this was my way of life.
Yeah.
If I had this limp in my leg and I couldn't, just the hindrances that I would have, for
Yeah.
small minor things, and as adults, those small minor things happen. And I think again, the culmination of those two things, the actual age and then opportunities as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it tough because both those things are really real. Our schedules are what they are. And oftentimes in adulthood, we may feel like we don't have as much autonomy as we want. And taking hold of those moments can be challenging.
True. May I add this one thing? I think it's like
Yeah.
a little cherry to that. People kind of lose their childish joy. Like it's like
Mm.
am I too big to go swing on the swing? And there's a good
Yeah.
amount of us that will, but there's a good amount of adults that will not go and swing on the swing. And you
Right.
don't even realize how cathartic it is until you're swinging and you're pumping your legs and
Yeah.
you're just like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's like that, like giving yourself that, I can do things that kids do. I can go play a game or something. Like I can, it doesn't have to be that big a deal. The main thing is just moving, and making that
Yeah.
choice to move. But yeah.
All right. Well, I'm wondering if there are some ways you can help us change our minds a little bit about how we can bring movement into our life in a joyous way. What would you suggest? How could we start?
I it's hard, but I think the one thing is kind of like having a vulnerability to yourself,
Mm,
because even in that
mm,
space when you're just by yourself and willing to have that. Some people verbally do it, where you need to have that scream where you,
yeah.
or some people, they just need to jump up and down or do some jumping jacks, but you don't realize that physical energy, you don't exert it. You might drink caffeine, and so you don't realize, that you have that physical energy, but just being vulnerable enough with yourself to even be in the room. Oh, I feel funny. So I'm gonna walk funny like this across the room just because I feel silly and I feel funny. And I feel like it starts with that. And then, dancing, while you're cleaning up, you have your music on.
Mm-hmm.
And so you feel free. Nobody else is in the house. And you just move because nobody's looking at you, nobody's watching you, and you can move freely. And I think moving like that gives you that space to kind of, feel a little bit more free to actually move because it doesn't have to be exercise. It doesn't
Right.
have to be, it can just be, if you have to walk wherever you go, if you don't walk, just putting some good music in your ears because when you're listening to good music and walking, you can't help but kind of walk a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
to the beat and whatnot. So just embracing the things that make you happy and kind of allowing yourself to be vulnerable in that space so that you can move. Um, you know.
I want to just pause a little bit because what you said was really powerful about the vulnerability. Oftentimes, we take ourselves so seriously that we can't free ourselves of whatever thoughts or ideas that we have created around something. And
Right.
so A lot of times we'll hear people talk about, oh, it's so good. You got to show up and be vulnerable in these spaces. Be vulnerable, make
Right,
connections
right.
with people, vulnerability. But the best kind of vulnerability is the kind we have with ourselves, where we can honestly say to ourselves, wait a minute, there's something happening here.
Uh-huh. And it's
And it
joyful and
doesn't
I
have
feel
to,
good.
yeah, I can break free of it. So I'll give
Yeah.
an example is that I think I knew because I knew we were going to talk today.
Uh-huh.
I've been trying to get back to making sure I move my body at least 20 minutes every day, something fun or whatever. So, one of the things I did is this morning while my son was getting breakfast, and I need to be around in the kitchen when he's making his breakfast, I got the jump rope. I brought the jump rope up and I jump rope in like our kitchen is open into the next room. I just
Right.
jump rope in the room next to it. And when you said vulnerability, there was some vulnerability there. I've got a teenage son who's
Right.
like, it's
What are you doing?
6:15 in
Right.
the morning. What are you
Right.
doing? Like,
Right.
why do you have this
Right.
jump rope? That's dumb.
Right.
Like, you get
Right.
those looks. But being
Yeah.
able to say, you know what? I just want to do something different than I did yesterday. It's easy. The jump rope can come up here. I can do this right
Right.
now. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
good example.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if jumping rope might not be the thing whoever's listening choose to do, but
Right.
dancing
Right.
around might be, doing some
Right.
squats maybe, stretching
Right.
your
Right.
legs maybe.
Right, 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 right. And yeah, just like again, just willing to be vulnerable. I tell people I feel like I operate kind of like on maybe like 8 wavelengths because I can't see a over the door that I don't jump up and hit, like pretending like I'm ducking. I'm just, if there's a curb, I'm jumping over it. I just because that's me, and I honestly, I feel like it's a blessing. I truly, it seems cliche, but I legitimately, thank God that I can wriggle my toes in the morning. That I can blink
Mm-hmm.
my eyes because those small things, they may seem small, but they're huge. And just being able to function and go to the gym and work out, and all those things are a blessing. And I'm blessed that I'm like at 47, I'm able to move the way that I am. That my body is as good as it is at this old age. I'm blessed and I know it's a blessing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people my same age could walk up 2, 3 steps, which
Yeah,
is
it's true.
unfortunate, but I know that it's a blessing. And so, just people giving people the opportunity to find that space. You know what I mean? If it's just
Yeah.
walking, because walking is the best exercise that you can do. You know what I mean? And making a
Mm-hmm.
space to walk instead of riding in the car. If you know you could walk those 3 blocks instead of getting a hack or a lift or whatever the case is, making small choices just to move. Because I tell everybody, once you stop moving, it's a wrap. You got
Yeah.
to keep moving. You got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Every day, do a little something, something.
Yeah,
You know?
there's this coach who used to work at a same job I did and used to talk a lot about, throughout your life, you're going to have to push, pull, lift, and carry until the day you die. And so being able to incorporate movements that include that will add to the
Yeah.
longevity of your life because you're always going to be pushing a door shut, pulling a door open, lifting
Yes.
something up, carrying
Being
something
able to
across the
stand up.
room.
Yep, yep, yep. And incorporating, yep, he's so true. It's very true. Very
So,
true and practical.
practical. So, talking practical, I'd love for you to show us maybe if somebody isn't at walking yet, maybe they want to start exercising and moving their body in a joyful way. Maybe they're not completely vulnerable and ready to dance about yet. Maybe what's a simple start to kind of move towards some of the things that you've already suggested?
Well, if you're chair bound and you really can't get up, there's
Yeah.
nothing more fun than getting along. I mean, if you're more masculine and you want to get your punches on and you want to jab and everything, as long as you keep your core tight, you don't even have to, but it's good to do it because it gets a little more done. But sitting at your chair doing jabs, or even once the music is playing and swinging your arms, just anything in the chair, moving your arms, it starts to get your heart pumping. The thing is, when you get your heart pumping, that's when you start to burn the fat and everything. And it just takes building on. You could do it for 2 minutes today. Whew, I got winded. I'm gonna try to go for
Yeah.
2 minutes and 50 seconds tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to go for two. I mean, because it's a step. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
stair steps have steps. You know what I mean? Like it would, like steps would be stupid if it was one step and then a gap and the next one at the top. You got
Right.
there's steps. You know, and that's what I want people to embrace. That there's steps to getting to that place, even of joy, even, you know what I mean? There's steps to that,
Mm,
those small steps, even mentally, taking those small steps. And maybe it might be hard for me, but I'll fake it till I make it. Today, I'm gonna do something, if it's towards joy or towards movement, whatever it is, like,
yeah.
every step matters,
Every step matters.
every step matters, and every
I
step is important too. Every step is critical. You know what I mean? Like somebody said to me, if it takes 50 steps to get to the door, if you take 49, you'll never get there. You have to take all of the steps. You feel me? So
yeah.
whatever, however steps there are in the process, you have to take all of them. You know what I mean? You can't skip any of them. You got to take them all and take them in time so that when you get to where you get there, it's a
Yes.
celebration.
Yes, yes, yes.
Celebration.
Well, I
Yeah.
love that you showed us something you could do if you're chair bound, like you're starting in your chair. What if you feel confined maybe by your work situation where maybe you work at a desk or in an office and you're just feeling like I need to start, but I haven't made it out of my office yet. Are there things that I can do or we could do that are like things I could do when I take a break right at my desk, around my desk, right
Sure.
in my space?
I got a great little ab exercise. I don't know if you can see me.
Yep, I
I
can
don't know if
see
you can
you.
see. But in the chair, I mean, you basically just sit on it. You make it as hard as you want to. The more you lean, the harder it is. The further you get out in your chair, the harder it is. But you can just lift your feet up. Either you let them touch the ground because you have to, or you don't. You let them hang over the ground. And the more you let them hang, of course, you're going to engage your core a little bit more. You can hit 15 of these, 20 of these while you're waiting for somebody to do something, wherever the case is. And also the little elbow dips, they're a little bit harder. They are, but just coming off the chair a little bit and just doing a little right here, keeping your
Yeah.
elbows tight. It'll just make you 20 of them real quick, 20 of them real quick. It'll get your blood pumping, your heart beating, and it could be beneficial. Again, every step matters. Every step matters.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know, is that
love that.
helpful?
Yeah, it's really helpful because, sometimes we can derail ourselves. So the day got busy. I didn't get out. I didn't go for my walk like I wanted to. And I know I got to pick up the kids, do all these other things. Sometimes it's nice to have some things in mind because if we're becoming joyful movers, we don't let space and time keep us from moving. We have to have options to say,
Right.
well, this is what I can
Right.
do right now, and I'm going to do
Right.
that, you know?
Right, right. And there's a lot of people that, just are known for having just, I mean, right, decent bodies. And they'll say, all I do is just I do 100 push-ups a day, 100 sit-ups, nothing crazy because it's not reinventing the wheel. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when you can get to the space where you're consistent, and really what I get from those people is consistency. You feel me? Like the push-up is the best full body exercise if you can do it. Your ab is engaged, your arms are engaged if you can do it. You feel me? You can do it
Yeah.
on the wall, but at the end of the day, it's a really full body workout. You do that in crunches every day of your life and have a decent body. Like have a decent body. You know what I mean? As long as you like, and that's just real. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to do a whole bunch of whatever. So if you can start with 10 a day, I got my 10 push-ups right before I go to bed. Look at my little muscles, lay down in the bed, do my little sit-ups and the next week you might be doing 15. Next week you might be doing 20. Everybody doesn't do it. I don't do 100 push-ups a day. That's not in my regimen at
It's in
all.
somebody's, but it doesn't have to
Right,
be in
right.
yours,
And
right?
it works for somebody else, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I said, you're making those steps, making those choices and pile them together and you got success.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that so much. All right. Any final words for people listening, especially someone who, when they first started listening, might have felt like there's no way joy, movement, exercise goes together. How might you encourage that person? I'm hoping they're already feeling encouraged, but what
Right.
final
Well,
words would you like to leave with them?
I think that um happy movement begets joy and joy
Yeah.
begets happy movement. Like
Yeah.
it's like a cycle, you know what I mean? Because if you're really joyful, it's hard for you to hold it. You know what I mean? It may come out
Mm-hmm.
in tears or a smile or a laugh or a physical jump, but that joy is going to come out if it's true joy. And so if you're physically moving and you feel good and you feel accomplished, you'll be joyful. So these, I feel like they just kind of, I feel like it's cyclical, you know what I mean? And if you're willing to
Yeah.
be vulnerable, you can get inside that cycle and slowly roll yourself along, being happy and joyful.
Yeah.
I
Because
don't
it
know.
makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because, you think about it, most of the times when people don't move, that's when they feel defeated. That's why I'm
Yes.
thinking, it's another day I didn't do nothing. It's another day it's
Yeah.
another day. But it was another day that I did a little 5 minutes it was another
Mm-hmm.
day that I did, just how quickly that can change.
Yeah. It makes a difference. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful. Thank you for taking
Yeah. Uh,
time out of your
yeah.
schedule to talk to us and
I
be
appreciate you
here.
having me. I feel blessed. I'm grateful that you wanted to hear my opinion. So
Yeah, no, I love your
honored.
opinions. And I
I'm
love
honored.
you.
I'm honored. I love you as
How
well.
about that?
How about that?
Oh, thank you
Yeah,
so
this was
much.
nice. Thank you. No problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anytime, 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 anytime.
So, for everyone listening, as we close today, I just want to take a moment to reflect on what we've shared. We've been reminded that movement can be joyful and that when we have some joy, sometimes it does come out in movement. And when we move, it can feed our joy. It may take some courage, it may take a lot of self compassion, but when we choose to listen to ourselves and show up for ourselves, we can find joy in our own bodies and with our own bodies. So, it's also important that you remember that through it all, you know that joy is always available in every season and in every experience. It doesn't always come easy, it doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes joy is quiet, sometimes it's strength, sometimes it's rest, sometimes it's movement. But it's there. And today, if you're listening and you're having trouble reaching it, if it feels far away or buried underneath everything you're carrying, please remember this: you are seen, you are valued, you matter, and you are held with joy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Until next time, please take gentle care of yourself. All right? Bye.